Welcome, welcome everybody to this week's episode of Cafecito. We got Claudia in the house. Welcome, Claudia.
Hello, Sandra. So nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting
Yes,
me.
definitely. I'm so excited. You got a lot of things going on, so we're going to talk about some of those things. I love today's topic. Today's topic is self acceptance and healthy relationships. We haven't had this topic, and this is like perfect because I see it stewing around, like just the idea of self acceptance, what that is. So we're going to dive into that. Y también, you recently released a book, Love is the Path. Yay, congratulations.
Here it
So awesome, guys. Pick up your copy. I'm sure it's available on Amazon and probably on your site directly. They can get it too, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so let's dive in. First, give us the formal introduction. ¿Quién es Claudia? So tell us where you're from and a little bit of your journey, and then how you landed here into today's subject that we're going to be talking about.
Hmm. So, originally from Colombia, I came here to the United States in 2002. I have a passion for service. Most of my roles have been serving. So I work, well, first when I came to the US, I was just rolling burritos and frying tacos as many immigrants when they first arrived. And then I graduated to insurance. I was selling insurance products for a couple of years. I was very passionate about like educating my customers, my clients on insurance products to make the right choices. And then I spent 7 years with the Commerce Corporation, just helping small businesses, connecting them with resources statewide. So I did that for 7 years. I worked in microfinance for a couple of years. I did community development with a bank also for 7 years doing financial education, entrepreneurship. So I've been very, very lucky to be in roles that have allowed me to serve the community. So that has been my career here in the United States. And I also have a coaching practice, which I started in 2014 on the side. And in 2017, I went and get certified to do this work. And a couple of years ago, I was able to do it full time. So I've been doing strengths-based development for my own consulting firm, InnateFive, for the last couple of years full time.
That is amazing. And there's a lot in there. So that's great. You got such a broad background. Um, and I'm excited for like how you landed here because this topic, just your journey from being an immigrant from Colombia. And I don't like that term so much because I don't really think we're immigrants, but that's the name. Hola, happy to be here. Hey, welcome, Tess. Um, but but when we talk about self-acceptance, and we'll start there, like looking at it especially from an immigrant standpoint, right? And I do think we struggle with that here in the US, like really finding where do we belong, and then there's that sense of questioning our own self-acceptance, right? So there's I mean, probably millions of Latinos now that are like inward looking and saying, do I belong here? And then, so how do I, number one, feel accepted in within circles, but also find my own self acceptance? Or tell me how you define it, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we teach what we need to learn. And that has been my journey, right? To really embrace myself. I think I believe that one of the biggest inequalities that we have today is the lack of love and lack of love, unconditional love. And sometimes, I mean, my personal experience, I grew up um, in a lot of scarcity, in a lot of neglect, in a lot of abuse, poverty. So if I wasn't encouraged to be myself, being myself was not enough. I always have to try so hard to be seen and to be approved. Right, so when you grow in those environments that don't really nurture your self-esteem, you go through life struggling with it, right? So yeah, so for many people, I would say that have that experience of that nurturing, loving home environment, it is more difficult, that journey towards self-acceptance. But we all, in general, struggle a little bit with it because society is usually, kind of condition. It has conditioned us to look for things outside ourselves to feel okay. You know, so so in the last couple of years too, since I left my corporate job, I've been on a journey, right? So of finding that internal validation, right? So embracing myself, not only because of the things that I do, but just because who I am. So I love, working with leaders, working with anyone that wants to learn more about who they are and do that inward journey to appreciate their own talent, their own strengths, their own lived experiences. Embracing the past is so important. When we run from our past, it haunts us. It just is the subconscious mind is running the show, and we're completely unaware of it, right? And that was my case. That was my case for most of my life. Like I kind of want to hide my past. Now, I was having this narrative of victimhood without even my conscious awareness.
Yeah.
So when I work with leaders or with anyone that I work, is kind of realizing their inner talents, their strengths, how those lived experiences gave them the courage, you know, the, the resilience that they have today.
Yeah.
And many times we need people outside ourselves to reinforce those things, that are good because sometimes they're invisible to us. Our innate talents, our strengths, we do things well and we just kind of take them for granted. We assume that everybody else can do it, right? And that's when we get in trouble because when we assume that everybody can do the things that we do, then we judge people when they fall short. So actually embracing ourselves and really appreciating the gifts that we have, then it automatically helps us to build healthier relationships because now we're looking at the other from the lenses of curiosity.
Yeah. I love that. I used to always say, if you look around, when we think about our own problems, right? Because we're in our own heads, right? So it's like it's only me going through this. It's only me that's dealing with this. And I remember one time I was thinking, but like, so is that person, and so is that person walking down the street, and so like we need to realize that it's not just us; it's everyone is feeling some sort of trauma, some sort of because
Mm-hmm.
we're these cosmic beings trying to understand what is our role is what's my role as Sandra Noemi Torres right now in 2024, right? In this world that we're living in. So, and I think because we are so grand, we're trying to make sense of, okay, Claudia has it all together and that Michelle has it all together. Yes, esa persona has it all together, but we don't realize that everyone is suffering. And I think that I love that perspective because we can look, when we think about it's only me struggling with this, and that thought perpetuates, right, in our lifetime. It's learning how to manage those thoughts. But when we look around, everyone is suffering. So, like, you know, that allowed me to look at the world like it's not just me. We're in this together. We are all in this together, trying to make sense of our human experience and this world that we have. So, how did you find, like, what are some nuggets that people can say or can think about when they think about how do I accept myself? What's that first sense of thought or thinking or practice, or what do you advise when somebody's like, I'm really down and out? I need to really find that joy for myself and for life again.
Thank you, thank you. First, let me just acknowledge that I love what just the reflection that you had about like everybody has some sort of struggle, right? It's part of our human experience, and realizing that is very freeing, right? Because we do go through life kind of comparing our experiences with others or looking at what we lack or like uh, making assumptions and judgments about other people without really understanding what they have gone through, right? So I love that, and that I think that is one of those realizations that have given me more personal freedom, because then again, it's just we're relating to others through the basis of curiosity, wanting to know their stories, what shaped their character, learning from everyone, right? When we have a mindset that we can learn from absolutely everyone, then that's what we're experiencing through life. And it's a much better way of relating to others in the world. So I think one of the first things that for me, it really helped me in this journey of self-acceptance is realizing that I am not my thoughts, that the thoughts that I have are conditioned programming. That it's just I am shaped by the lived experiences that I have, and a lot of my internal dialogue was nurtured through my mom, through those individuals that have such a huge influence on me growing up. And I think that's the first step. When we realize that we're the thinker of our thoughts and not our thoughts, then we start relating to with our mind a little bit different, right? So, we have thoughts that are not helpful to us, and we're like, oh, here I am thinking about that, but I don't have to, I don't have to keep nurturing that story, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to rules. Which one are we feeding? The good wolf or the bad wolf. So I think that's very important, right? To understand that, to have compassion towards ourselves for the things that we go in life, for the way we think, for the way we react. I mean, in that in itself is acceptance, right? So I'm not expecting to be someone else. I am accepting myself right now where I am, right? And I wanna, keep growing and evolving, but I think accepting where we are is important. And that first step, I think, is just realizing that we're not everything we think.
Yes. And I love that going into the thought and the mindset avenue, because we are constantly repeating thoughts, and we're repeating thoughts of the past, and we're repeating thoughts of the sad or traumatic things of the past, right? I mean, there's those rare occasions where like we think of something wonderful that happened. How many wonderful things have happened in your past? Tons, tons. But la cosa que that first come to mind are the, man, I screwed that up, or I wish I would have did this different, or man, I'm so depressed about that loss or that situation, or whether it's a loved one that's passed or cualquier cosa. We harp on the sad things, but why? Right? Like why? And I love that you said that, because 90% of the thoughts that we think don't even come from our conscious mind. They're coming from our subconscious mind, and those are the thoughts that are in there. And I also believe that our bloodline, the trauma that's happened through our bloodline, is also because I think there's been things that have happened, or that I think about, and I'm like, nobody in my family went through that. Why do I feel this baggage of this plight? I don't know. I can't describe it. But then when you read the history of our cultures and our communities and what has happened, and I narrowed it down to that. We really are connected through our DNA, through the lifespans of people centuries before us, that we sometimes, you can have a beautiful life and you're wondering, why do I feel this way? Well, something in the lineage, something in your bloodline, in your cultural DNA has allowed you to think this way. But now it's, how do we change that? How do we start changing those thoughts, or being acknowledging of, I'm thinking a bad thought right now, or this thought is not really positive. Let me switch it. Let me catch it and switch it, right? We got to catch those thoughts. And then I used to do this in a training. I'm like, when you hear when you feel yourself having a negative thought, snap your fingers and snap yourself out of it, because that's not going to lead you anywhere positive. It doesn't allow us to, sometimes we want to like either make ourselves feel worse, right? Like, okay, let me find why it's worse. And we make up some of those stories from our past. Tess, also true and very timely for me. Awesome. Awesome, Tess.
I wanted to mention a tool that has been extremely helpful for me, and is meditation. Meditation is just an incredible resource for us um, to be able to make a space between thoughts and to change those recurring patterns of thought that sometimes just run our life. So in meditation, depending on there's so many different types of meditation. The particular meditation that I practice is called primordial sound meditation. And that's a meditation that we practice with a mantra. So in the repetition of a mantra, we are retraining the mind. Right? We're focusing the mind on something, and every time we got distracted, we just gently go back to the mantra and repeat it. And that helps us when in daily life, because those negative thoughts, those stories are gonna come, and we can make the space to think, okay, what is the story that I'm telling myself now, and is that hurting me? It is important to note that we do have to express our emotions, right? So we're sad. I think it's yeah, many of us, or in my case, I suppress my emotions a lot. I was very proud. Many times, I just kind of didn't have tears or like didn't cry. Because in the past it was so embarrassing, like I couldn't control my my emotions, and so I went to the other side where I wouldn't allow myself to be vulnerable. I wouldn't allow myself to cry. So I think it's very important for us to be in tune with the emotions that we feel and allow that sadness, right? And allow that anger and not externalize it, right? Not to externalize it with the people around us, but maybe go to the gym, run, and do something with it and just sit with that anger and think, why do I have this anger? Like, do I need to put better boundaries, right? Am I
Yeah.
need to, be more disciplined to do this thing that I need to do? What is the anger, right? Telling us what is the sadness, when there is discontent, right? So why I have all of these things and I don't feel happy? It's because happiness is not about material things. It's about purpose. It's about connection. It's about so many internal things. So the emotions are telling you, okay, we need to find a different path. So it's important to be in tune with the emotions and kind of honor them and let them pass, because usually the emotions are short. They're just seconds, right? That is just the thoughts that we have sometimes that get us in this um, entangled for too long in those emotions. But when we observe the emotions and ask the questions and sit with them for the time we need to sit with them, and then we go out and continue our day, is very healthy. I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Tell me,
it
Sandra,
does.
if it's making
It
sense.
does. And I think already as Latinos, we are already emotional. Like I think we're more extreme. We're more passionate. So we're passionate when we are, because I think we're passionate people, we are to the extreme of every emotion, right? Like we feel every emotion very, very strongly. Um, but that's funny. So like if you're angry, like one thing that I'm like, just acknowledge, or upset about something, just I love that you said that. Like self check, do a check-in with yourself, and like, why am I this way? But like if I feel myself, and this happens when I'm hungry, right? Like, sometimes we get hangry when we're
Yes.
hungry. Okay, so like if anybody's around me, I'll just warn them, like, I don't mean to be anyway, but like, it's just, and it's in fun, right? Because I make fun of the fact that all right, I'm off a little because I need some food in my stomach y después me calma. But little things like that. I mean, I know there's deeper things, right? That there's too angry, but I find that we shouldn't harp on those. Anger to me is, I mean, I think we need to understand where that's coming. That's the one I think that most people need to really understand where that's coming from and dissect it, and then love yourself through that process. Like convert it, and like you said, we got to retrain our thinking and reprogram our minds so that when we think a thought that is self-debilitating, that makes us not love who we are, not accept who we are, we know that we have to change that thought, because it is not, number one, it's not true. Number two, it's not healthy. And number three, it's not going to take you anywhere you want to go. So I love the reprogramming our mind. And meditation is a powerful source to do that. What was the mantra? What was some of the mantras that
Oh, so in the meditation that I practice, our mantras are sacred. They're given by your teacher, and they represent the vibration at the time of your birth. So the universal vibration at the time of your birth. So it's like it's primary sound meditation. We have a calculator where we put, your place of birth, your date of birth, and the time of your birth, and then that gives us a specific mantra. But an easy mantra sometimes that I like to suggest to my clients is a soham. And with the soham, it's just repeating silently in your mind. So as you inhale, right? So hum, so but just silently you repeat, and then you get distracted with thoughts, and you come back to the mantra, and that just calms the mind. If you do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it cancels out the thoughts. Sometimes we're repeating the mantra and the thought's still there, but the mantra is a little stronger. So you're diving deeper into different layers of the mind. So mantras is just a great way to quiet the mind a little bit.
I love that. We gotta write that one down for sure. Tess, Claudia, I just bought your book. Yay, Tess! Awesome.
Oh my God! Thank you.
That's awesome. One thing I learned too is if you're thinking something negative, like put your head up and smile. Like that you can't think a negative thought when you do that. When you're looking up and smile, try to think a negative thought. It's very hard. You
Wow.
can't do it. So if you find yourself like with a perpetuating negative thought that you can't shake, look up and smile. And maybe that's synergistic, right? Like we're looking up to the grandness of things. But that's also a great tip. Let's go into healthy relationships because of this, right? Because I
Okay.
think that's a big one. Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask you to repeat something. Just repeat to yourself. You can close your eyes if you want
Mm-hmm.
to. So, who is thinking? Who is thinking?
Me?
Right, but you're not your thoughts,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another way sometimes to kind of quiet the mind a little bit. Who is thinking, right? I
Yeah.
don't know my thoughts
Yeah.
on
Because now
people.
you're concentrating on that question. You forget about everything else. And that reminds you. I love that one. That is such a great one.
Yeah, because again, the suffering that we have is because we over identify with the thinking mind. But we are more the thinking mind, right?
Yeah.
So we have different levels of awareness to the heart, actually to our gut. We have three brains.
Yeah.
You know that, right? So
Yeah.
the brain in the head, the heart has neurons, also the gut. It needs a constant flow of information, and actually, the heart, scientifically, is proven that it sends more information to the brain, and through our electromagnetic field, the heart knows more than the mind. The mind is just whatever we information we put in, but I think the heart has wisdom.
Yeah.
So we do have to quiet the mind a little bit sometimes to be able to hear the whisper of the heart, to kind of get in touch with the body and feel the instinct with those the instinct. When we have an instinct about something, it doesn't come from the mind, it's the
Yeah.
body, right?
Yeah.
So it's the suffering that we have today is because we over identify with our thinking. And so that's what the Eastern traditions teach us. 5,000 years ago, um, it, you know, Ayurveda, meditation, and yoga, just all of those traditions teach us all of these different techniques and ways of having a healthier relationship with with the mind, and that in itself create healthy relationships, because if I'm at peace with myself and I have acceptance about who I am, and I embrace my imperfections, then I am not projecting all of those things onto the other. Right? I don't have as many expectations for someone to behave in certain ways, to do certain things. I'm just curious, right, and empathetic about someone's journey, and coming from a place of maybe service, so curiosity rather than just expecting, and that's what also get us in trouble sometimes. Our expectations lead to disappointment.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Gosh, man, I know our time is running out. Like we could talk about this for a whole nother hour and still not even tap into the extent of all of it. But I love it.
But tell me, what was that thought? I wanna hear that thought that you have about the expectations that we place on others, perhaps.
I don't have any expectations of others because I've come to that place that if the life that I create is my life, and what the only expectations I would have on others is programmatic thinking for some reason. So I've come to the place where I have no expectations of others. I have an expectation of myself, and that's my journey through life is what am I going to do now? What am I going to do next? What is my responsibility in all of this? So that's how I look at the world right now. Um, so I don't have any expectations of others. Even growing up, I don't think I ever did because I never had let anyone have the power over my joy. And I think that that's the most important thing. Like, because the moment that we say, okay, whether it's a relationship or family, but the moment I say, okay, I'm with this person's going to bring me this is love in this situation. And therefore, if that person leaves, I no longer have love. No, I have to have the love first within me. Like you said, that self-acceptance within ourselves. So I hold no one obligated to give me any emotion. I make myself responsible for that for myself because who else? ¿Quién más? Right? I need to want to be the one to love myself. I need to be the one to take care of myself. I need to be the one. And when others come and compliment that, that's beautiful. But I don't have a particular expectation on any other human being because I understand that they're on their journey también, right? They're going through their own figuring out of my role as a human being here in this world. So I feel it's wrong of me to ask anyone to provide for me any emotion or contribute any type of anything to my life. But I'm responsible, that is for sure. And still, even knowing that our thoughts are what create our reality, there's still negative thoughts because we're human and that fight or flight system is constantly looking at what's the danger in our life. And we perpetuate those thoughts of, okay, danger, danger, danger. They're not really danger, but that's how it's just a negative thinking. And that is the danger aspect of our brain. So I don't give anybody that opportunity. And I don't think anybody here should either. No one is responsible for your joy except you. There was something I think I got it from a book that I have here behind me. It says, whenever you're thinking a negative thought, just this gentleman said, I love, like he started doing this. I don't know, it's not a mantra, but let's call it a mantra. I love myself. I love myself. So anytime he was thinking, I have the book here somewhere, but anytime he was thinking a thought, he would just start thinking, I love myself, I love myself. So when you're thinking a negative thought, catch it, and then I love myself. Just start just repeating, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. Y te cambia la mente and the mood. It changes your mood. And when I read that book, it was a book club that I did it like 2 years ago. And I was like, wow, that is such a beautiful thing. So anytime now I catch myself thinking negative, I'm like, I love myself, I love myself. Cualquier cosa. It doesn't matter what it is. I love myself, I should not be thinking this thing because we perpetuate our lives on our thoughts. The more that we harp on negative, the more the universe is saying, hey, you want more negative? Okay, toma. Here's more negative. Here's more things that are going to affirm your feelings of sadness. They're going to affirm your feelings of traumatic experiences and unhealthy relationships. So
Yeah,
that's... Mm-hmm.
I think you're the exception. That you've been in that journey for so long. So we do attract who we are, not what we want. right? So wherever we believe inside ourselves, that's going to manifest out. And our beliefs are, we can create new beliefs. It takes time, right? It takes time. I think the repetition of a mantra could help, but there is more that we need to do to really change a negative belief to a positive belief, right? Because those subconscious beliefs sometimes they're the ones running the show. What
Mhm.
I would say in terms of self-acceptance is that for me it's a journey. I think it's not a destination, right? So in order for us to accept ourselves, we need to know ourselves, right? We need to understand why do we act the way that we do, embrace our story, have compassion for ourselves, right? And after we accept ourselves, then we can move to more self-love, right? So what are the ways in which I'm taking care of myself, working towards the dreams, towards my goals, really setting the right boundaries, like all of these things that come with having a fulfilled life, right? So, but again, it is a practice. It is not a destination. It is just, you remind yourself, oh, I'm in this journey of, accepting myself and loving myself. And as you do that, then automatically, without thinking, it's just you start relating to others in a different way. Because again, you're meeting people where they are. You recognize in our shared humanity, you recognize in the shared struggle, because we live in a society that conditions us uh, to, to seek love and validation outside ourselves.
Yeah.
So going into that inward journey takes commitment and is a daily practice.
Absolutely. I don't even want this conversation to end because it's so good. Thank you for the cafecito. Felicidades on your book. I look forward to reading it. Um, awesome. Awesome. This has been Claudia. We need to do something else that just kind of expands on this because I think we're not done with this conversation. It's really, really great. Because
No,
it is a lifelong journey. It doesn't end. We're all trying to make sense of it all. And even when we have the dynamics structured, it's still we are still almost fighting against ourselves, right? Almost fighting against our biology in a sense of conditional formatting and programming that has come. We need to learn how to be the new humans, the new version of more elevated humans where we are aware of how our brain works, how consciousness works, and how that really creates the life that we live in so that we can create a better world. Because the harping on the negative and the worrying about the crap, no se va a cambiar el mundo. It's up to us to change that. It begins with us. If we can all individually self-love ourselves, imagine the world, the love that we would just exude back out because we are a mirror to everything. So,
thank you. I do want to say something else if you
sí,
still have
claro.
a minute.
Mhm.
So yeah, so another time I would love to share more about my story because I think that compassion is so important. Like, I used to be so angry with myself. I used to be so like constantly disappointing myself. And until I learned where that came from, right? Until I had a clear awareness of why I acted the way I did, I couldn't change that. So yeah, so in my book, I share my story with that, hoping that others kind of go back and really embrace those parts of themselves that have been hidden from them, perhaps, because that's the first step, right? And the more we learn to have an open heart and hold the space for ourselves and others, the that's the portal of higher consciousness, right? We're gonna have higher consciousness through love. That's the only way that we can really elevate our collective consciousness, holding a space for ourselves, holding a space for others, and that's why I believe that love indeed is the path.
Love is the path. I love it. Thank you, Claudia, for joining us today. Love is the path, an immigrant's journey to self-acceptance. Oh, me olvidé the second part, perdito.
Belonging, belonging to the workplace.
Belonging through the workplace. Yes. I love it. I'm so happy for this conversation. I definitely want to do more of these. Because we do need to just remind ourselves, life has ups and downs, ebbs and flows, right? You might be at your high right now, you might be at a low, pero cualquier cosa, this is life, right? So sometimes even when you're high, you're like, I love myself, and then something hits the fan and now you're feeling low. And we need to have the tools so that we can lift ourselves back up out of those low times. And I think you have a lot of great tools, Claudia, and would love to continue this conversation in more
Thank
platforms.
you so much for the opportunity. Such a pleasure, Sandra.
Yay, likewise. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you for your comments. If you are not in our Mighty Hub community, I invite you to join unitedlatinas.mn.co. We'll put it in the thread of where this is posted. And hope you guys join us next week for Cafecito. Take care, guys. Have a blessed day. Love yourself, accept yourself, and have healthy relationships. And buy Claudia's book, and she's got some stories in there that will help us out. All right, guys. Take care. Be well.